So, Pakistan doesn't buy Chinese cars. The answer might actually start with Karachi, the city that's basically Pakistan's economic lifeline. Karachi isn't the capital, but it's the most developed city in the country. And because it has a major port, something wild happens here every single day. Huge numbers of old cars that Japan has already phased out get shipped into the Karachi under the label of a scrap steel. Back in Japan, these cars are worth almost nothing, but in Pakistan, local mechanics that built them bring them back to life and instantly they become bestsellers in the market. At the port of Karachi, there is a whole group of insanely skilled repair guys. They can tell if a port is good or bad just by looking at it. They'll take an entire car apart into pieces, then weld them body back together and reassemble everything. Just a few days later, these refurbished cars, often covered in religious blessing stickers, roll out of the port and straight into everyday life. They become taxis running through the streets or work vehicles for small vendors trying to make a living. One of our colleagues in Pakistan once rode in one of these cars and he said, "When you sit down, you always feel like it might fall apart in the next second." And it's not just those refurbished cars. In Pakistan, most private cars you see on the road are also almost all from Japan. And behind that is a long story, a story shaped by colonial influence, everyday people's needs, and constant policy battles of how Pakistan's auto industry has struggled to move forward. Back in the 1950s, Pakistan was a young country and its industry was still weak. American brands like General Motors and Ford were among the first to enter the market, and they produced the country's first car. At that time, the auto market was still controlled by Europe and the US. Then came a major turning point in 1972, a wave of nationalization reshuffled the entire industry. Japanese brands like Suzuki, Mazda, and Nissan entered quietly under the name of Technical Corporation, and they slowly built deep roots in Pakistan. For the next 20 years after that, Pakistan banned car imports for a long time to protect local assembly, but the result wasn't great. Competition faded, locally made cars became expensive and low quality, and for normal families, owning a car became a luxury that felt out of reach. This deadlock didn't break until the early 20s. The government relaxed the rules and allowed overseas Pakistanis to bring cars back home, and suddenly a huge number of cheap and Japanese cars flooded into the market. At that time, the average monthly income in Pakistan was under $100. But a used Japanese car could cost only one-tenth the price of a brand new car. So for many families, cars went from impossible to finally we can afford one. Used Japanese cars don't dominate Pakistan only because they're cheap. They also win because they feel like they were made for Pakistan. First, Pakistan drives right-hand drive, a rule left from the British colonial era. And Japanese cars are right-hand drive too, so you can buy them and drive them immediately with no conversion or modification needed. Second, Japan has lots of mountains and complex roads, so Japanese cars are famous for being durable and tough. That fits Pakistani's rougher road conditions really well. And third, fuel prices in Pakistan are close to China's, but incomes are much lower, sometimes only one-tenth of China's, or even less. So fuel-saving, small-engine Japanese cars naturally become the number one choice. And here's the crazy part. This dominance created a whole local car ecosystem. You've got the refurbishing workshops at Karachi port, you've got used car markets all over the country, you've got local assembly plants, and you've got spare parts everywhere. Even in remote villages, a roadside shop can take a Japanese car apart and fix it like it's nothing. That feeling of "I can afford it, it won't die, and I can repair it anywhere" gives people real peace of mind. And that's why, in Pakistan, Japanese cars basically become the symbol of reliability. So when you look at it like this, it really does feel like Pakistan loves Japanese cars. But then the question is, where are the Chinese cars? Here's the thing, made in China never really left, and now it's quietly starting to break through. In the earliest stage, Chinese companies entered through auto parts. From glass and tires to engine components, their market share kept growing, and today brands like GWM and Chery are producing locally through assembly in Pakistan. Even the design and positioning of their models are aimed at local needs. For example, the Haval H6 has become Pakistani's first locally assembled new energy vehicle and EV, and the Jayco J7 is designed with extra long range to deal with high fuel prices. And it's not stopping there. BYD's Karachi factory is also close to completion. The first batch of locally assembled NEVs is expected to launch by July or August this year. We also met a local guy who told us the Chinese brands he knows based is Chang'an. He took us to Chang'an store in the capital Islamabad. In the showroom, you can already see popular new energy models like the Deepal S05 range extended version. The starting price is 9.999 million Pakistani rupees, around 55,000 United States dollars. But of course, real life is full of challenges. Japanese cars have built trust over decades, and that reputation is hard to shake. A lot of people still believe imported used cars are more reliable than brand new cars. And the NEV market is even tougher. Prices are high, electricity is limited, charging infrastructure is not enough. Even around the capital, a used Toyota Corolla might cost only about 15,000 United States dollars. But an NEV like the MG4 can cost as much as $32,000, and that's before you even get into the local power shortage problem.
زما په خیال د الیکټریک وهیکلز چې کوم زموږ په ایریاز کې یا داسې ایریاز کې چې غرایز علاقې وي په هغې کې د خلکو لږ سوچ بدل وي. د دې خو دوه وجې دي. یو وجه خو دا ده چې د الیکټریسټي اویلیبلیټي دومره نشته په دغه ایریاز کې په پاکستان کې خاص کر د نارت سایډ شو زیات نه زیات 15-16 غنټو پورې بجلی وي او د ورځې بیا نور نه وي او نه داسې خاص چارجینګ سټیشن شته د الیکټریک وهیکلز لپاره چې او نو اویرنس شته د خلکو کې زیاتره پټرول پمپز او دغه پټرول ګاډي چلیږي او دویمه وجه دغه دا چې د خلکو چې کوم مایند سیټ دی دغه الیکټریک وهیکلز لپاره کې ډېر زیات اویر نه دی. دغه خلک سوچ کوي چې الیکټریک وهیکلز چې کوم دي نو هغه دومره ښه سټرینث نه لري چې کوم په غرونو کې ګاډي چلیږي د هغې په شان. نو دغه دوه وجې دي چې د الیکټریک وهیکلز ډیمانډ یا اویرنس اوس لږ لږ په خلکو کې روان دی. هغه هم په دغه وجه چې د پټرول پرایسز زیات دي او د چیپ پرایسز په وجه باندې خلک دغه طرف ته چې کوم خلک اویر دي نو هغه الیکټریک وهیکلز لپاره
For the auto industry, Pakistan is like a nut with a full, rich kernel inside. It has huge potential but also very obvious barriers. Still, the local guy who took us around on this store visit is very optimistic about Chinese automakers. And a big reason is a mega project that almost everyone there knows, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC. As part of the Belt and Road Initiative, CPEC is not just a symbol of friendship between the two countries. For Chinese car companies, it can also be a real fast lane. It can greatly shorten shipping and logistics time by sea and reduce transportation costs. Compared with Japanese brands that mainly went through value for money, this can create a clear advantage. And when you look back at those cars at Karachi port, the ones reborn from scrap metal, their story is basically a snapshot of Pakistan's car market. It's not fully mature, but the needs are real. It's full of challenges, but it also hides the growth potential of an emerging market. And when the reliability of made in China, the strength of Chinese infrastructure, and the warmth of big country diplomacy meets the real needs of Pakistan's people, this two-way journey can still lead to a win-win future.